I think we are starting now. Always a little in awe or confused. I'll call it in awe. I like that sound better. Of when this actually starts. So make sure that everybody hit play. Okay, so got a video error. Happens quite a bit. Yeah. So things sound good. Got a good sound check. So who am I looking at here? We got Denise live and ready to roll. Hello, Denise. Welcome. Okay, let me do a quick look around here, make sure that we don't have anyone that's stuck, not able to access coaching. Typically, we've got a few people. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and respond here and make sure that we get everybody that is trying to get on the correct page for today. And then we'll get rolling. So just had the one email. We'll go over and check on my Facebook messages real quick. And then we'll kind of jump into things. So where is Facebook? Nope. There. Nope. There. Nope. Maybe I don't have Facebook open. Imagine that. All right, let me open that up. Always helpful. Okay, so I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and do I think we're still showing, yep, still showing my picture here. So what I typically do is a screen share of the browser window. That's desktop. There we go. So I do a screen share of the browser window and then actually share the browser window that contains the chat box. So after that, people on the replay will actually be able to see the question box as well as whatever video I might be sharing. From time to time, depending on the questions or kind of the way the office hours or coaching or whatever you want to call this goes, I may do some kind of over-the-shoulder demonstration or show some examples or whatever. So that lets us kind of capture whatever visuals we are using to, teach or show or whatever that might be. So for anyone who is here that has not been on my office hours before, I run them a little differently than Greg and Mike do. Greg, definitely the person to go to for hardcore technical SEO questions. I typically know the answers to them. I follow and have watched pretty much everything Greg has recorded, and because of that, I'm a resource that you can come to for any kind of questions you might have there. But he is definitely the guru. Well, not guru. We don't like that term because he does actually what he teaches. But that being said, my office hours are pretty much open forum. They include not only SEO, Q&A, but also strategy, mindset, monetization, pretty much anything you want to get a different perspective on, you can bring to the table here. So the way I run this, if you have not been able to figure it out yet, is the questions or comments or requests you might have, you can go ahead and put in the chat box there that sits beside the video, and I will kind of get to those as I can. Sometimes it takes me a little longer to answer questions. I tend to be a little bit wordy, and also from time to time show examples. So if you've got the question there, I will get to it as soon as I can, but there is also a lag time for Google Hangouts. So just be aware of that. It typically runs anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple minutes. And it usually doesn't pose any kind of problem, but just always like people to be aware of that. Aside from that, welcome and glad you're here. We typically get into some pretty good stuff, and you know, depending on who's on and kind of the direction that the questions go, you know, sometimes it winds up as kind of just rapid fire Q&A. Other times it gets into a little more lengthy, drawn out discussions of certain topics or aspects of online money getting or SEO or whatever it might be. So anyway, besides that, I'm going to go ahead and jump in the chat box here and see who we have. I saw Denise on earlier, so I'm glad you're here, Denise. Paula, great to have you here, loud and clear on my end, Denise. Okay, great. So let me see here. One of the first things I like to do is to kind of go through the newsfeed, just for people who are not using that as kind of the central place to get news and updates on what we're doing, any recent updates to the Google algorithm or our current best practices. This is the best place to come. So this is just the membership area for Project J. A lot of times it looks very similar to folks that we've had before that are still, you know, able to access our content for Project X and, you know, NHB from 2013. But anyway, so what we've got here is just the news feed. David puts this together. He is pretty much the main designer of OMG, and he keeps track of kind of what's going on and posts all our recent updates and you know, news and things like that. So looks like we've got for today. So here's an update about my office hours. Greg had an office hours session yesterday, which the replay is now posted. So you guys can check that out once you get done with this office hours, or anytime you might have time to do that. Looks like we've got a cool little insight from Carrie Dukes here on CPA, which is a great way to monetize your websites. I use that as kind of my go-to method for affiliate or whatever you want to call it. Stands for cost per action. I'm just kind of reading through this. Yeah, so he's actually making $15,000 per year per site, which is great. That boils down to, yeah, what is it, about $1,200 per month per site, which is great. I tend to shoot for about $300-400, so I actually may jump in there and check that out because he's got some good things. And I don't, yeah, Joe Marfolio here is a real expert on using the CPA monetization model for his websites. He's taught me a lot. Joe and I talk quite a bit, and amazing resource. So he's got some videos on CPA as well. It's one of those things that we're kind of starting to flesh out a little bit more and more, ways to monetize CPA, because it's a great way to kind of enter low competition markets and make a pretty strong return, depending on the offer that you're promoting. You know, some of the CPA offers that I promote, I can get as much as $120 per action. Sometimes that doesn't require any more than just a data form submission, so it's pretty cool. And then going back to Dwayne Berlin's content that he added for us on ways to protect your PBN even further, and just keep yourself anonymous, keep your footprint really diverse, and for the most part hidden from prying eyes. There's a lot more that we're going to be getting to on this topic. It's one of those things that it's an investment that we all make in our businesses, and keeping it secret, keeping it private, and also keeping it, you know, relevant and working are things we should all be interested in. So make sure you check those out. Aside from that, we're getting back a few days here. I assume you guys have kind of checked that out. That's more Dwayne stuff. And then this gets back a couple days ago. So, okay, cool. Let me click back over here and see what we've got here. All right, from Paula, we've got a question here. Greg teaches how to manually silo an over-the-shoulder series with pages. In the PBNs, the siloing uses the categories in WordPress, but the main site tutorials do not. Why is that different, and does it matter? Okay, so in concept, Paula, it is exactly the same. So what a silo means kind of technically and also conceptually, is that on any given page, you will only have links out to other pages that are very closely related. So if you were building out a site, like if you had KLKS, one of Greg's sites, that is not a siloed site, so don't use it as an example. But it's a site where the domain name has nothing to do with the content of the site, right? So you're going to have to rely on the inner URLs and the title tags to tell you what the pages are about. If Greg were to build a silo or an inner URL structure about e-cigarettes, and then maybe wanted to go, totally off base and have, or not off base, but something that's related but very different. If he wanted to offer some kind of program for stopping smoking, that was an e-program or something like it, he could build another inner URL structure, and within those pages, he would only want to link, if he were building out a silo site, he would only want to link over to pages that were directly connected to stopping smoking as opposed to e-cigarettes. So a little easier way to show that, I actually built this site specifically for this question. It's a question that that we get quite a bit. Oh, I forgot I changed the theme on this thing. So anyway, this looks generic because it is. I was getting ready to build this out and actually do some things with the look and feel. Anyway, beside the point, you'll get the idea. So right here we have the URL or the domain name, milehighplumbing.net, Mile High City, Denver. It's kind of synonymous, whatever. It's a site about plumbing in Denver. So this is a site that's siloed, meaning that the URL structure is set up so that it only will link to other pages that are directly related to the page that you're on. Okay, so within the Denver metro area, there are 5 major suburbs: Arvada, Lakewood, Aurora, Westminster, Denver proper. So if you were to type in for burst pipes in Westminster, okay, you land on this page. Again, try not to worry about the formatting. I apologize for not getting back to getting this thing updated a little better. Anyway, what we get to, actually, we can't even check. Yeah, I totally spoofed on this. This is not going to work as an example at the moment. Anyway, on this page, when I've got the theme actually working with me, the only links, this menu will go away. So there is no way for me to navigate from Burst Pipes Westminster page, we can see that's the page I'm on up here, to foundation link repair. If this, it's set up to be siloed, but the theme is not set up the right way. So like I said, I apologize. It's not a great example. Anyway, conceptually, that's what a silo is. What it means is that the page you're on is only going to link to other pages that are directly connected to the content or the theme of the page that you're currently on. So with, oops, where are we here? Let's get back over here. So the question you had specifically is when you're manually siloing, for the PBNs, we typically use posts as our content. Okay, so when we get an article written or we write an article ourselves, we use the posts kind of format to put content on our homepage and link out to our money sites. So, when Greg is talking about, PBNs and siloing those things out, it will be related within PBNs to kind of the posts concept. If you're siloing out a money site, it's much easier to rank, and it gives you a longer term ranking advantage to try to rank pages as opposed to posts. Within the content management system of WordPress, they're treated a little differently. They're kind of the same thing, but they do a little bit different stuff within WordPress itself. So don't get too caught up in the technicalities of what they do. because in concept, they're the same thing. When you're siloing out a website, you want each of the pages to only connect to other pages that are relevant, that are the same theme. So again, I apologize. I usually keep that Mile High Plumbing site set up so that, that it's a good example of that. It's real easy to see when it's actually set up properly. I'll get that theme addressed, and if you fire me an email, I will give you an update when that's done. I can likely get that done either tonight or tomorrow and give you a better example of it, something you can look at. So as a direct answer, it's not really that different. It's just depending on whether you're looking at posts or pages, and it really doesn't matter that much. And what it does is it keeps your site thematically relevant, and that's really what we're looking at when we're doing silos. We're keeping we're not bleeding our themes. It's not really so much about link juice. It's more about kind of thematic relevance. So that's what it's about. All right, Julian, welcome. Thank you for being on today. All right, Slav. I watched 60-Day Success Series. It seems you focused on websites right away. Any reason why you didn't go with YouTube videos to begin with? Honestly, it was because I didn't have much experience building videos. I love videos now. I use them quite a bit. I actually enjoy, making videos and editing them, so it's fun for me to do. When I started, it was easier for me to comprehend building out a website because it was what I immediately kind of connected with having a business. And having a website, people go to the website and they call your number. For me, YouTube was a little more about entertainment and things like that. But that was really just about kind of my paradigm at the moment. Currently, I love YouTube. I love Vimeo, Daily Motion. All three of those platforms work great. We can use them all to rank videos. And it's a different beast when you take them on for not really so much as ranking, but even kind of the content and conversion. I think that the videos I make now are really, really good at converting. But when I started, I really just wanted to get some stuff up that would make the phone ring. And it was a little harder for me to figure out ways to make that happen with videos than it was with a website. So, yeah, it was certainly not something I did it was a conscious choice, but it wasn't because, videos don't work for some reason. It was just because I didn't understand them as well. So, all right, Scylla here. Which ones are good CPA networks? One of the ones that I typically show that I've used is something called Ask.com. So it's a large kind of clearinghouse website. Within this website, what it does, this is kind of like Register Compass. It collects a lot of different CPA networks. So each of these different networks will have a bunch of different offers. It's a real busy website. It's got a bunch of flashing colors and things like that. So it takes a second to kind of orient yourself and figure out what's going on. But this is a cool website. The reason I like it so well is because for me, it has pretty relevant offers as well as reviews from people who are actually promoting these offers. So like Further Mobi, I assume this is something about mobile phones, but it could be something different. They've got, actually, see here, 593 different offers that include CPA, CPL, and CPC. CPC stands for cost per click, CPL cost per lead, CPA cost per action. Those are each kind of different designators in kind of the CPA realm, and will tell you what you get paid for. If somebody actually just clicks a link, you can get paid for cost per click. CPL is actually a qualified lead that comes in. It has to meet some certain criteria and will have some information filled out. So if you were trying to get your house refinanced, for instance, CPL would pay you if somebody fills out a form and they meet a certain credit score, something like that. CPA, you get paid when somebody fills out a form, hit submit. So each of their offers pay at least $50. They can actually have it set up so that you get prepaid and they get paid weekly. These are the forms of pay that they will actually pay people on. So PayPal is typically what I try to stick with. And then you can actually make another 5% by referring somebody else to promote that offer. So, you know, it's just a huge, you know, network of things to promote. For the Mobius best network I've ever cooperated. They always pay me quick. On-time payout, top payment. So yeah, you can just kind of click through here, check things out. If you want to look at these, sometimes it gives me kind of issues if I'm, yeah, so these are all the things. Yeah, so these are like, yeah, Candy Crush, Saga. Yeah, yeah, you probably have been invited to a bunch of different games on Facebook and things like that. If you signed up for this network, you can actually invite people to play Candy, what is it? I assume Candy Game. I mean, it's like Candy Crush Saga or whatever, I guess. I don't play the thing, but I get invited to it all the time. And you can actually make $1 every time somebody else clicks on that link and tries to join or play or whatever it might be. So that's kind of how that stuff works. AppPay's a great one. JV Zoo has some offers. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I actually have been invited to promote from a couple different offers that found me because I had websites ranking in certain niches. They actually found me, tracked me down, sent me an email to the admin email on the website and asked, you know, what I was doing to monetize the site and if I'd be interested in promoting their offer. So those kinds of things happen too. So just kind of be aware of that. Okay, back over. Okay, question from Denise here. I had a PBN that I recently bought, but checked it today in Google, doing the site, okay.org, and there were no listings for it other than the generic post that shows up from when I installed WordPress the other day. Was that site the index? No, it wasn't. So, like if we do, you know, so what was that? Was that Denise? I always like to kind of know. Give credit. Okay, so Denise here is talking about using something called an operator. So this site colon is an operator in Google. We're gonna go over to google.com and we're gonna type in site colon like Joshua Fl1Tch you guys are on. So if you don't put a space in here, it's very technical. You know, if you miss it a little bit, it will give you information that technically is correct, but it might mislead you. You actually have to put site colon space and then the domain name. Once you do that, oh, yeah. So again, you have to be, oh, look what I did here. I misspelled my own name. So this is the correct kind of nomenclature for that search. I think if you take, oops, you take this off, it should give you the same results. Yeah, it will. Okay, so what it does is it lets you know whether a site is indexed in Google. What that site operator does is it returns all the results on that domain name that are indexed. So if you've got even one page showing up there at the top, it means your site's indexed. It may not mean there are further deeper pages indexed, but that's not a problem. You know, if you just bought the site, as long as your home page or one of those pages is indexed, you're fine. It means it has not been de-indexed. Some sites can actually lose their index if they've been kind of dormant for too long. Google will just stop crawling them, but that's not really a problem unless you or a previous owner has done something to get your site, you know, out of favor with Google. So if you've got one search result up here pretty high, you're in good shape. It means your site's indexed and you shouldn't have to worry about anything. Yep. Should be in good shape. So yeah, and there were no listings for it other than generic post that shows up for my install WordPress. Yeah, so the generic post, if you're talking like the hello world post, that's fine. That means your site's indexed. That's good. So not a problem at all. All right, so ignore my email. I got in, also known as Priscilla. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, you were on last week. Make sure that I don't have somebody else. So my email's waiting. Okay, cool. Good to know. All right, Slav, can you submit exactly the same video to YouTube, Vimeo, and Dailymotion? Or do they need to be somewhat different? I'd change them a little bit, Slav. It's pretty easy to do. Like one of the things that I do when I'm doing something like that, I will change kind of the lead out and lengthen it, by a few seconds, or change it by a few seconds to make the video length, longer or shorter. And so I can have 3 different versions really of the same video that has a different length, and because of that, they'll probably show up as a different video. I would also change up the file name slightly, as well as whatever you title your video when you submit it. So it can pretty much be the same video, but what I would do is change those factors up a little bit to make sure that you're not kind of stepping on yourself and creating something that's very easy for Google to say, oh yeah, this guy's just trying to get multiple listings or whatever for the same content. Change your content up a little bit. You're probably going to be in good shape. It doesn't take much usually. So Google's getting better and better at that, but for the most part, you're not going to run into any problems. You might just get one of the videos or something like that that doesn't index properly, but aside from that, you should be good. All right, and then another question here from Slav. What do you do to bring generic branded links to your homepage to diversify anchor text? I don't want to waste PBNs to just send URL branded generic link. Like go here, click here. There's a few things you can do. You can set up social profiles. So like if I had a site like JoshuaFletcher.com, right? I got my Twitter feed. It can link over to JoshuaFletcher.com, naked URL. Even if it's a no follow, doesn't matter. It's a good link. It's going to get indexed. It's going to get counted. A lot of those social type links are going to be great places to put naked URL type links in to get your branded stuff there. It's typically what I use. Trying to think of other things you can do that don't require tools or anything like that. You can just manually go out and make some halfway decent blog comments. As strange as this might sound, I actually manually blog comment sometimes, especially if I'm trying to rank for a some term that's got a blog, a piece of content that's on a blog that's ranking. I'll actually go read the dang blog comment and sign up for whatever their format is and write some halfway thoughtful response and put a link back to my site. So it usually doesn't take much because the links we use are so powerful to get some diversification there. So those are two options for you. I do both. I like them both. Is that afpaying.com trying to decipher URL? Yes. So yes. Okay, so sometimes it blocks the link there. Hopefully it came through. All right, Denise. Links came back. Thanks. Oh, cool. That's good to know. All right, Antwill7. The idea of using fake information to prevent leaving a footprint for your PBNs. What's your take on it? Honestly, I don't put a ton of thought into it. I don't do that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that it'll get you in trouble. Pardon me. Kind of had a cold, so if I have to cough or clear my throat, please forgive me. It's not something I do, but I'm not also saying that it's bad. If you're doing stuff that's blatantly trying to manipulate search engines, I tend to stay away from that. But for the most part, even that I don't really frown on. At the end of the day, my customers are the people who are using the search engines to find my site and get connected with a solution to their problem. Those are the people that I try to take care of. You know, certain things that I do may not be according to, you know, some super white hat clean, you know, way to do SEO or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it does not hurt someone. It serves my customers. It takes care of them. It connects the people who are searching with good quality results and solution providers. That's kind of the line I draw. Crossing that line is not something I do. Anything that you need to do to make sure that you get traffic, that you are able to provide a service to people looking for products you want to promote, it's kind of just one of those things. If you want to do it, go for it. I don't necessarily think it's bad. I know Joe posted on it, I think last week. We actually talked about it on Skype the other day, and he hasn't had any issues with it. You know, some people call it fraud and all this other kind of thing. Fraud is misrepresenting what you deliver, and Joe's not doing that. He's, you know, the things he promotes are definitely above the board, and he provides a ton of value to the customers he uses. You know, the reason he does that is not to mislead any of his customers. It is to, you know, cover issues created by search engines and specifically Google. So my take on it is I don't do it, but I don't necessarily think it is, you know, misleading or shorting your potential customers in any way. All right, Paula. A recent interview Mike did, he mentioned everyone knows how to take down a Yelp page in the local search, but I don't know how to do it. Okay. So if you're talking like take it down or rank it, Paula, yeah, let me know exactly what you mean by that. If you're talking about if you're talking about just like demoting it, like getting it to not rank well, you know, with Yelp reviews, it's a review site. Yelp has specifically come out and, you know, one of their lines to their employees, they've got a big hub based here in Phoenix, and I know a couple people that work for them. They want to call themselves something called a decision engine, which means that people will go and find, you know, whatever they want to find, and they'll go to Yelp to figure out who to actually call. And it's a great concept, maybe, but at the end of the day, it's a review site. And to blow up a review site, all you got to do is hire a bunch of people to leave bad reviews. In all likelihood, people who find that listing are not going to call you because they do not want to call somebody that's got that many bad reviews. So all likelihood, that's what you're talking about there. If it's something different, let me know. If that's it, then yeah, hopefully that helps you understand what Mike was talking about there. All right, Slava, I hadn't used Vimeo for a while. Last I remember, they didn't allow videos where you advertise yourself. I can't, or I believe that's not the case anymore. Correct. Yeah, last I posted on Vimeo, they don't have any issues with it. Videos. So you're going to be 13. Commercial use. You may not use the Vimeo service for commercial purposes unless you are a Vimeo Pro user. Yeah, so you got to be a Pro user. In which case you may use and access Vimeo service for commercial and non-commercial purposes. So yeah, just got to sign up for the Pro side of it. Slav, you should be fine. That was what I remembered, but it wasn't coming to mind when I read it. Then yeah, so you gotta sign up for a Pro account with it to to use it for promotional purposes. All right, Priscilla here. Paula, that was Carrie Duke's interview with Mike. Carrie didn't have a chance to explain how to take down a competing Yelp page. I'd like to know too. Rank above it. Yeah, that's another way. You can just outrank it. Pretty easy to do. Yes, demoting. Yeah, okay, cool. Julian says, I think she means get off the first page. Yeah, so with Yelp, the site structure on Yelp is, let me just do this. Yelp. So the site structure on Yelp here, if you know, I'll just pull up this page. So this is an actual, yeah, this is a business listing. So everything is structured at this level. I'm not using Chrome or Firefox, so I can't pull up the page authority and domain authority of the actual page here. But it's very much like the strategies that we employ for Amazon, in which case what we need to do is to have a page that has better metrics than our competition. And we will be the one that's actually shown not only in Yelp's little search engine here, like if you're looking for tacos, cheap dinner, and Max's, you know, this search engine, but also the Google search engine. So those are the two things that you need to do to outrank your competition. And then once you're outranking your competition, the second Yelp listing, you just have to outrank with other properties, you know, whether that's Yellow Pages or your website or videos or whatever that might be. The way we typically do kind of reputation management or negative SEO is to just rank so many of our properties that it pushes the people that or the results that we do not want on the first page off of it. So, you know, if a business were to have had a, you know, their Yelp listing that got attacked by one of their competitors and it had, you know, 45 negative reviews on it. If someone were to hire us, what we could do is go in and create other properties that we used to outrank that Yelp listing that had the bad reviews, push it onto page 2. Once it's on page 2, it will get negligible traffic, which will mean it will not negatively affect the traffic and the new customers coming into that business. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of one of the strategies we use. It's kind of the first page domination, but it can be used for a couple different, you know, strategies. And one of them is to displace listings that we do not want to show up on the first page, whether that's a competitor or whether it's even one of our listings that we want to move off of there. So we can do all that kind of thing. All right. Yeah, Julie says, I think she means get off the first page. Yes, Julie, exactly what I mean. Okay, hopefully that answered you guys' questions. If it did not, just, yeah, hit me up with another question. I'll dig deeper into it and show you guys a little bit more. All right, Slav, regarding Yelp also might listed Nashville SEO's business name. Is that really a registered business name, or Yelp allows that you list your business as a first website, even though it's not the official name of your business? Yeah, Yelp does not require you to produce any documents as to your official business name. You can have your business name be like that page I just showed you guys, Phoenix Water Damage. In all likelihood, that business is not named Phoenix Water Damage. Somebody created that page specifically because they knew that was a search term and they wanted the business. So if you look here how this is set up, the business name that you enter into Yelp is actually what winds up in your URL here. And as we know, URL is one of the most powerful factors for SEO. So naming your business something that is a search term is a strategy to get your Yelp page ranked for that keyword. Pardon me. Okie doke. right, so yeah, Paul says, perfect. Thank you. Cool, cool, cool. Julian Slav Yelp may take it down, but some companies rename domain.com, so it's not automatic flag. Yeah, exactly, Julian. Great addition there. Slav, what would be the procedure if a competitor sends too many spammy links to my site? You know, if it's something that really gets you hammered in the search engines, you can go through the process of disavowing those links and getting them, you know, taken out of consideration for Google. It's a little bit of a procedure. If it's a small site, it's probably not worth it. You could probably actually build a new site just as easily. Those real spammy links, if you've got good PBN links in place, you've got some social activity, you've got good traffic, a lot of times those really don't even do that much. You know, I know Greg has been hit a couple different times on pretty much every site that he shows, you know, helping teach other people in any kind of public forum. Somebody inevitably will target it and, you know, fire a bunch of, you know, really junky, spammy links at that website and try to get it, you know, unranked or ranked worse or whatever it might be. You know, a lot of times a competitor will do that too because they want to, you know, take you down because they can't beat you with good, you know, aspects. A lot of times it really doesn't have the negative effect that the people are hoping. When it does, it just, you have to really look at it as the resources you put into it and what it's worth to determine whether you want to go through the process of kind of recovering that site, disavowing the bad links and moving forward, or whether it's worth just kind of building up a new site and going from there. So yeah, that's the way I approach a lot of that. All right, let's just one there. Okay. All right, Julian Fletcher questions how to outrank a Yelp listing because it's very difficult to do for the newbie. I'd like to know what SEO you use to do that. I bet it's PBNs. Yeah, absolutely, Julian. PBNs are currently the most effective and powerful link that we really have access to. It is a kind of a trump card to have a high domain authority and page authority link going to any kind of page, whether that's Yelp, whether that's a YouTube video, or whether it's our own website. So we can use PBNs to rank pretty much any property, and it's a very safe, it's reversible. That's really one of the reasons we talk about it so much. We do understand, you know, it's an expense, it's a cost, but it's one that gives you so many tools and so much utility. So, you know, there's times when instead of using a Fiverr gig or whatever it might be, I'll use 4 or 5 links to rank a video on YouTube. Okay, well, you know, I could have spent $5 from a Fiverr gig and may have been able to accomplish the exact same thing, but there's times I just really don't want to go that route. And PBNs, the link power that we have from those posts in a PBN give you the ability to rank not only normal websites that we create, but these other kinds of properties as well. So, all right. Question here from Antwell7. I'm leaning toward building my business as in the area of affiliate marketing. What would you consider to be my first most important moves to make? I sent you a Marfolio's section already. It was great. Until I get an SEO ability down, I figure I can make some money this way. Yeah. Honestly, I have not watched Joe's videos, but as I mentioned earlier, we talk quite a bit. We do a lot of the same things as far as our business model goes. Joe's actually got more SEO clients than I do. I really have not tried to collect or cater to a bunch of SEO clients. My business model is much more, I own the properties that I do SEO on, and I use them to generate business or customers for the people I promote. So it's very much along the lines of the sections that Joe talked about, kind of that model. It really comes down to kind of 3 things that you want to kind of move your concept together at the same time through. One of them is what you're going to monetize with, whether that's a CPA offer, whatever it might be, kind of your understanding and your conversion, and you getting in kind of the head of the person making those searches. That's going to be a major consideration for you to think about. It's really what led to the evolution of kind of the My City Guide concept. In that model, what you can do is not only try to create leads or phone calls for a local business, but you can also sell physical products. Something I do, I make a lot of use out of. And it came from me understanding that some people who were looking for a pool pump in Phoenix wanted a pool guy to come out and install it, and other people wanted to know where they could buy one so they can install it themselves. So there's a phone number on the site. People can call the phone number. It's connected to a pool guy that's also an electrician that can come out and put a new plumber in, a new pool pump in for you. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, I've got an affiliate link there for Amazon, and you can go buy a pool pump that I get credit for that way as well. So understanding really a deeper level of what you want to monetize and how you're going to monetize it is a real big consideration. Beyond that, you kind of back into understanding what keywords people are going to be using. And then once you've kind of got those keywords fleshed out, you can start to design the URL structure of your site and kind of the overall marketing strategy. So if you're going to build a website, here's your URL structure. If you're also going to include videos for certain pieces of that, you're going to build the channel, you're going to embed the videos on your pages, on your website, you're going to kind of promote those things that way. So those are kind of the three things that I really look into. So that is your kind of monetization plan, which kind of leads you to your keywords. And then your keywords really come into play with the URL structure. I really kind of classify those as the same thing. And then beyond that, kind of a bigger picture marketing plan. So if it's just going to be your website, if it's going to be videos, if you're going to try to employ, ranking Facebook pages and things like that, what are you trying to do with the Facebook page? Are you trying to sell off the Facebook page? Are you trying to drive traffic from the Facebook page to your website? Are you trying to build a list on your website and sell through email marketing? Those are some things you need to think about. And I would definitely design the promotion before you start building it. Otherwise, it kind of gets lost in the jumble of doing things, and you can kind of lose track of really what the goal is or what your kind of core concept is. And a lot of times when that happens, you wind up with conversion that doesn't work as well as it should, or just kind of missing the target a little bit. So those are the three things I'm thinking about. All right, Priscilla, I'm just starting out, and since I already have 2 web hosting accounts, I'd like to use them if possible. It would be safe to put 2 or 3 PV Insights in GoDaddy, pointing to some money sites in HostGator. The same thing with HostGator, pointing to money sites on GoDaddy. Yeah, if it's not more than that, you should be fine, Priscilla. Would really, anything more than that though, just protect yourself. It's not worth it, for $20 a month to wind up losing all your sites and all your work. So that's kind of my 2 cents. What you've got there, it shouldn't be a problem, but I know it's kind of a hassle to go through the route of, learning the SEO hosting and figuring out private name servers and SOA records and all that kind of stuff. I get it. It's the least fun part of what I do too. And it was also something that it was like, oh man, this is like technical. Like I'm messing around with servers and all this kind of, like it just was not what I wanted to do, but it really is. It's a very important piece of what we do, how we protect ourselves, how we create situations that are profitable long-term. Because the last thing you'd want to do is to do this, build up a couple sites that are making you a few $100 a month, like, oh, hey, this is good, and then lose it all. I mean, it's one of those things like, man, that would be like one of those deadfalls. If you follow or pay attention to David Mills' law of implication stuff, you will kind of understand that concept. What you want to do is to make sure you don't go down a path that can take you out. And that's one of those things that can be demoralizing enough that it can kind of take you down so far that you really don't want to get back up. And so I try to recommend for people to not do that, just not to put yourself in that situation. All right. So, all right, Fl1Tch, really appreciate your answers. Got to go. Good night. All right. Thanks for being on, bud. As always, great questions. Really appreciate you getting involved and, you know, not only asking questions, but helping other people out too. So it's awesome. I think I saw a couple email notifications coming here. Just want to make sure that I don't have. Oh, yeah, I think we're good. Okay, we should be good. All right, Priscilla, newbie question about a domain where the backlinks are in the www. What do I have to do to it before I can technically create a website using www? Nothing. So if you bought that and that's where your power comes, when you get your server, you know, set up, whether it's, you know, what you were talking about using with GoDaddy or HostGator, when you are installing WordPress for the first time, you know, whether you're using one of the scripts that kind of automatically install WordPress for you on that server, I think it's the first or second box, you can choose where to install it. It'll say HTTP : and then it'll just be blank. That's kind of the default. What you want to do is hit the down button on that pick list and have it say HTTP : //www. Then go through the rest of the process the same way. What that'll do is install your WordPress database on that www version, so that when somebody is navigating to your site, it will show up www.domain.com as opposed to domain.com. That will make the most out of your existing backlinks and your page authority for that page. Technically, www is a subdomain, and it's not the root domain. It's not something you really need to worry about, especially as a newbie. But just for other people here that might be listening, that's what you would do. And yeah, totally fine to do that. I do that exactly. You've got the right question there. You build the site where the links are pointing. So really good question, but that's what you do, and that's where you designate that. All right, Julian, I've had several enterprise clients that are really gun shy about links on their main site. Types of link building do you do for conservative enterprise clients? One of the things you can do is to take advantage of what we know about, especially no-follow links and social properties. You can get into a situation where you can build a bunch of videos and create, description links that are going to be no-follow, that are branded, that is their company. You can build out Twitter feeds. You can build out Facebook fan pages, get links and activity going back to their site from those kinds of properties. They're super gun shy about any kind of link building. Those are things that are way above the board for Google Terms of Service. Nobody could look at that as anything other than just good online marketing. But it also, if done right, can give you a substantial boost for SEO. Beyond that, you can look at kind of some of the stuff that we have for like PBN Reloaded with vKraken and Social Explosion. Those are two plugins that work very well to build up your domain authority traffic, and because of those two things, your SEO over time. Those are things that work very well that are not in any way, shape, or form devious to anybody, no matter how gun shy they are about link building and things like that. So, all right, Denise, you got my email response yesterday. Just checking in those spam. Oh, you know what, Denise, I did see that. I've been real busy. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet, but I did see that. So yeah, I've got it. I'll try to get back to you tonight on that, but yeah, it shouldn't. I've got it. So yeah, apologize about the hold up, but yeah, I've got it. Oh, yeah, just looking, guys, we're about an hour in. These are typically kind of slotted to go about 90 minutes, give or take, or less. 90 minutes is kind of the extent of, most people's attention span. Beyond that, it just kind of, degrades into just a bunch of talking and rambling and stuff like that. So we got half an hour. If you've got questions, make sure you get them in. If we get too slow, we'll just kind of wrap things up. But, if you guys are continuing to ask great questions, we'll go for about another half an hour or so. Just kind of an update and, kind of letting people know what's going on. All right, Julian, do you build links to those 2.0 sites, e.g. to Facebook and video pages? Yeah, you can, Julian. What that lets you do is to kind of build your tier 2 links, build up the page authority on those referring pages. Clients are usually a lot more comfortable with that kind of thing because you can just delete the page, if it's something like that. The thing is, if clients understood why we use PBNs the way we use them, they would not be necessarily hesitant in any way toward us using them because it's the safest thing you can do for SEO. If something happened and all of SEO changed and those links became somehow toxic, they're very easy to take down and get rid of and get your site back to the way it was before you started. But it's beyond the scope of most kind of sales presentations to talk about, well, what if everything goes wrong? So I usually, like I said, I don't do a lot of SEO. I don't take on a lot of SEO clients. I do have some. But beyond that, you can use what we do for link building to build up kind of tier 2 page authority and push even more juice through those social profiles and help your money site that much more. So yeah, great. What you talked about there, great concept, great strategy. Very easy to do as well. If you get PBNs flagged or de-indexed, doesn't affect the site that points to negatively. I think it probably should, and I don't know whether it does or not. Like I said, I've not had any sites de-indexed, but from the reports I had that I've gotten from Greg and a lot of other people that have had some de-indexed sites, doesn't necessarily negatively affect them. I did see that a couple of our people said, yes, it does. But if it does, you just keep track of that thing. If you get a site or PBN that gets de-indexed, take the link down. That's not a big deal. De-indexing is something that it's kind of one of those things you got to really think about what it means. It means that Google is not willing to show the results of that site in the SERPs. It's not going to rank it. Doesn't mean it doesn't crawl it. So, for the most part, that link still counts. Whether Google continues to give it positive credit or negative credit, it doesn't matter that much. What we want to do is just to pay attention, to keep track of those things. Because if it does create a situation where it's negative, you see a site that gets de-indexed, you wind up with a drop in your rankings, you go check the site that's de-indexed, you get rid of the link. As soon as Google continues to recrawl that site, because it's going to continue to do that, if that's what it's done to give you negative effects in your SEO, then you're kind of back to where you were to start with, which is, that's exactly what we want. That's a reason we use PBNs. It's super safe. It's reversible. You can change things over time. It's just a really, really safe, easy, good way to go. All right, Priscilla, thanks, Fletch. Got to go. Great to have you on again. Thanks for being here, Priscilla. All right, Julian, good night. Fletch, thanks for your time and caring about helping us. Absolutely, bud. Great to have all you guys on. So, we've got, right now it looks like I'm doing about 1 session per week. So as soon as those get updated, as I mentioned earlier, my next office hours will be scheduled and a notification will be given in the news feed on the OMG Machines membership area. So go keep track of that. And you keep track of what we've got going on in the future. So, pardon me. All right, we're still good there. Just checking to make sure nobody jumped on an hour late or something like that. All right, guys, we had a bunch of people jump off. If you're still on, awesome. We can keep going. If you've got some questions, get those in the chat box. Totally cool to kind of continue rolling on. If not, you know, I certainly don't want to, you know, expect everybody who jumps on these sessions to ask questions. You know, that's not what this is about. We have tons of people that just jump on and want kind of some live Q&A. It helps flesh out your understanding and all that kind of thing. So it's totally cool. Either way, doesn't matter. But typically, I try to, you know, if things die off and get pretty slow, you know, I'm not going to waste everybody's time here by keeping this live, just waiting for, you know, a question to come in or something like that. So no big deal either way. But I'll give it a few more minutes. And yeah, if we get some more questions, awesome. We'll keep rolling. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the night. And yeah, I'll catch you guys up in the Facebook group or via email if need be. All right, Paula, what do you recommend for the fastest way to get going? That's $1 million question right there. It depends, you know, it depends on your background, what you're interested in. It was, that question is the exact kind of underlying reason that I wanted to get rolling when I got involved with OMG. You know, it worked out very well for me, but a lot of it was because the background I had with construction and understanding that industry, that became the most logical place for me to kind of apply these strategies. And with that industry being very predisposed to buying leads, kind of the natural business model that I designed and built and went with was one that works. It's, you know, there's a lot of things you can do with online marketing and with business in general. And, you know, my 2 cents, my, you know, perception or the advice that I tend to really try to focus on, you know, imparting for people is to, you know, not only look at, you know, the specific elements of like monetization, whether you're going to sell leads, whether you're going to promote affiliate products, whether you're going to go out and get SEO clients, is to understand that each of those little pieces is going to be part of something called your business model. Your business model is really going to include who your customers are, how you interact with them, how you deliver, you know, your product or service to them, how you get paid, and what you do with your customer base, you know, whether that's a list or whatever it might be. That really lets you say, this is what I do. It lets you tweak that business model and stay with the same industry, stay with the same concepts, take the same business model, apply it to a new industry, all that kind of thing. So if you just really want to get up and get going, what I would do is take one of the many existing business models that, you know, our members have been so open with sharing. That's really what those earnings reports and you know, the interviews that Mike does with so many of our members, that's where the gold is in those things. Getting to look at what somebody has done with their business model. A lot of people haven't really put that term on it. That's something that I'm trying to contribute and help frame up for people, because if you go in to those earnings reports saying, what's he doing? What's the model he's created there? It's not specifically necessarily about the industry. A lot of times that business model will be very easy to apply to an industry you're interested in. Sometimes it doesn't work so well, but you know, that's kind of your responsibility. You got to figure out what the heck to do. But what I would do is to go to those earnings reports and watch them and see really what makes sense to you in those, and put your own, I won't say put your own spin on it, but draw on your own experience and your own interests, and put yourself into one of those models, and then from there go and actually create your version of it. You know, if you were going to look at Joe's, you know, what Joe's doing with CPA, and you know, he does a lot of stuff with home services and things similar to me, but you have no connection to any of that stuff. You could still take that concept or that idea and say, well, you know what? A lot of massage therapists would love to have new customers. Maybe I can figure that out and apply that kind of model to this other industry, and that'll be my deal, you know? So that's probably what I would recommend doing. Spend some time in those. I know it's not SEO, but what it will do is it'll give you something to kind of hang your hat on and say, okay, now I know what I'm going to apply these skills to. When you go in, and you know, David talks about it a lot in Law of Implication, when you start learning something, you don't have any concept or any framework to hang the details on. You have to start with the details. I mean, simple as that. If you don't have the details, you don't even know what you're talking about. But as you kind of start building those details out, you build the framework, and you can start hanging those pieces of information on something that makes sense. It's clearer for you. And I think one of the big pieces of concepts that give you a lot of those details is something that that a lot of people overlook, which is kind of the business model. And I think the best place to go get clear on that is looking at some of the monetization and the earnings reports from members that we've had. So, all right, from Dave here. Fletch, if a client is a U.S.-Canadian partner of another company overseas, is it acceptable to use Duke content? It would simply be describing machinery and its functions. Yeah, Duke content is not the kind of beast and, you know, horrible negative thing that most people think it is. What I would do is to figure out in one form or another how to kind of use it as syndication. You know, if that content exists on someone else's site, I would in some way, you know, connect to or give credit to that site in a way that Google can recognize, to say, you know, the manufacturers of our, you know, XYZ equipment in Germany have created this amazing, you know, list of details or, you know, features or benefits from this product, and here they are. So, you know, it can be the exact same, you know, list of things that it does, but you're at least acknowledging that the content came from elsewhere. You know, as you start to kind of dig around and look for what is going on in kind of the world of SEO, Greg, a lot of people who, as you start to get more involved with it and invested in it, you'll start to kind of reverse engineer what's working. You'll do some searches. You'll see what's on the first page. You'll say, wow, how's that ranking? Let me dig into this a little bit more. You'll undoubtedly come across a lot of websites that have duplicate content of one form or another. And you'll start to kind of realize why it's not necessarily bad. What you need to do is put your own value and your own perspective on it, and have there be a reason that it exists in two places. If it's a German website and one in Canada or North America, whatever it might be, that's a reason for it. Obviously, people are not necessarily going to shop on a Canadian manufacturer's website or something like that for some product they want to get in the States or in Canada. So pretty easy to do. Don't worry too much about duplicate content. I wouldn't make your whole site exactly like them for sure. But using a good chunk of content from them on many of your pages should not be a problem. Wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, Paula, great answer. Thank you very much. Oh, great, Paula. Glad you got some value out of that. All right, Antwill7. What's the main difference between a website, PBN, and a money site? Which one should I do first? By PBNs, build a WordPress site, explain the money site. Okay, so we use those terms because it lets us point our attention to the functions. A PBN site is a site that is set up to specifically help us rank a money site. It's not one that the first most important thing that we want to get is people going to a PBN site. We don't really care as much about traffic going to a PBN site as we do about traffic going to a money site. The reason being, the money site is where we're trying to make the transaction or the conversion or whatever it might be. We're trying to get somebody to click a link, and we're going to get, referral credit, whether that's selling a product on ClickBank or going to Amazon and buying something there, whatever it might be, right? We're using that money site as kind of the hub that we're trying to get traffic to. Traffic, most of the time, is going to come from your search engines. What a PBN is set up for is to give kind of referral juice through its links to your money site. Now, a money site doesn't necessarily have to be just a website. A money site can be a video that you're trying to rank, that you're trying to sell off of. It can be your Facebook page. It can be a LinkedIn profile that you set up and that you're trying to convert people on to give, make them give you a call to be your SEO, consultant or whatever that might be. So backing into that, because of that, I think that the most important thing to focus on is going to be your money site. That's where your transaction's taking place. That's what you're going to be able to put and get the most return on your investment out of, about making it look really good, about understanding your market, about conversion, whatever it might be. Reason I say that, right? The OMG is about SEO. We love organic traffic, but we would be missing a huge aspect of it to say that's the only way to make money online. It's not. You can drive traffic to a site with pay-per-click. You can drive traffic to a site by mailing out a flyer to 1,000 people and saying, hey, we've got this great deal if you go to this website. Those are all things that are going to drive traffic to that money site, right? Where we're trying to make the transaction, trying to make the sale. And so because of that, that money site becomes what I believe is our most valuable piece of our business. The PBN, the network sites that we have, make that money site even more valuable, because what they do is they refer juice or authority to the money site to get it to rank. So I built my money sites first, or at least conceived of them first. What I talked about earlier in really figuring out your market, understanding how you're going to serve them, what products you're going to offer, what keywords that's going to turn into, all that kind of thing. It's a big, important piece of it. You know, that doesn't necessarily require you to understand PBNs. PBNs are things that are a little more generic in nature, especially when we buy them. When we buy an expired domain, it can be pretty generic. What we do with them after we buy them, what we turn them into, is more specific. They can be themed out to cater to a certain niche or industry or whatever it might be, right? So hopefully that gives you a little, maybe some more information, some more connections with how those all work together, how they play together. If they don't, ask some more questions, totally fine with, you know, talking through it on maybe some different levels or whatever. But hopefully that gives you some, a little different perspective than you may have had before. All right, Antwil, what's your experience is the best number of PBNs to have most effective? It kind of depends on what you want to do with online marketing, with SEO. If you, you know, if you want to build a massive, you know, income, you're going to rank a bunch of properties, tough competitive terms, you're going to need more resources. You're going to need a bigger number. When I first got started, I set about trying to get 10 or 15 sites in my PBN. 10 or 15 sites in my PBN got me to $6,000 to $7,000 a month, which for most people that I can think of, that's success. You're doing good. You know, you've gotten to a place where you can, you know, legitimately look at this as your main career. And that doesn't take a long time. You know, you can go through and pick up some cheaper sites that they're, you know, halfway clean and decent. And, you know, you can do that for $500-600 and, you know, get rolling and turn that into a reasonable income. So don't really think about, here's my target. Just think about the direction I'm headed is progress, is improvement. So as you continue to get better at buying expired domains and turning them into PBNs, you'll understand more about why that is the approach you want to take. But for right now, what I would do is look at just getting 5 sites. Get 5 sites up, get better at, you know, understanding this is where the content goes. This is how I'm linking out for my PBN. This is how I'm making my PBN and my network safe, you know, making it anonymous, covering my footprint, all that kind of thing. Because once you understand that, what you can do is just build a process out so that each time you want to add new resources to your business, it's easy, it's duplicatable, it's scalable. So then you can figure out, what do I want to do with this? You know, I got to a place where, you know, within about a year, I was really comfortable. You know, I was making a lot of money, especially compared to what I was making before. And I wasn't really that interested in growing that kind of piece of what I did that much more that way. And so I really didn't buy a lot more stuff. I didn't make use of a lot more stuff. So it depends. It depends on what you want. It depends on the life you want, on what you're trying to rank for, all that kind of thing. So, all right, Dave, excellent. Thanks. Cool. All right, Tom Owens. I heard Jimmy made over 100,000 in 1 month selling low-value product on Amazon. How would you manage the drop shipping side of something like this? Was buying from the drop shipper automated, or was this an affiliate link? Would love to know more about the method. You know what? With Jimmy, I think you're probably referring to the that band, those cardboard cutouts that he sold the hell out of that 1 month. Yeah, it's a pretty low dollar product, but he absolutely crushed it with that. I'm not sure whether he promoted somebody else's product or whether it was a product that he had created himself. Tom, if you're in the Amazon plus Google Facebook group, they talk a lot about that over there. Brad Mabry is the absolute master of that. And whether, you know, that whole group is really set up to create your own products, create your own shop on Amazon and sell your products. Now, a lot of your products are going to be things that are manufactured by a third party, that are fulfilled and drop shipped by a third party, that you essentially are just managing that store. So in certain ways, it's not that different than just being an affiliate and selling somebody else's product. But in certain ways it is. You get a much, much higher margin and return on your investment. So I'm not 100% sure on Jimmy. I would imagine he was promoting somebody else's things, but that's a guess. You know, that's just kind of based on me knowing Jimmy and the things he promotes and what he does online. But I'm not sure about that. So, all right, Antwell, thank you, cool. Yeah, glad you got something out of that kind of discourse on my approach to PBNs and money sites and all that kind of thing. Cool. All right. All right, guys, we're getting into about 90 minutes in or something like that. It's not like, cut things off or anything like that. But if you do have some more questions, please try to get those in the chat box. I'll get to those, as quickly as I can. But yeah, let's get some more, any final questions or thoughts or anything like that in the chat box real quick here. And we'll kind of move through those and we'll get things wrapped up for the day. Okay, so Tom, we'll drop Brad at PM. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Brad Mabry's his name. He's a cool guy. He's got a whole bunch of videos in the membership area as well. You can check those out. I'll love that here. Oops. Maybe I think so. I suppose it's good. So, Antwell, how should I go about picking an area for affiliate marketing? Money site affiliate marketing. I wanted to pick an area. Yeah, so again, kind of one of the things that I recommend to people is to pick something you're interested in. There are ways really to make money with almost anything online, and probably I'm anticipating the reason most of us are here is because we want a good life. We want to enjoy the work we do. We want to be interested in the things that we're promoting and getting involved with. And so pick something you like, spend a little time figuring out, if it's, preppers or it's health or it's weight loss or it's anti-anxiety, or if it's selling Air Jordans or guns or fishing vacations or whatever it might be. All those things work. But the only things I promote now are things that I like, things that I'm interested in, and things that I think are going to move the world in the direction I want it to go. So, that being said, it's not the only way to go. I totally understand that there's a bunch of things you can promote that you can make a lot of money with that don't fall under that heading. But for me, I really like my life and I really like what I do. And it's because the things that I work on are things I care about. And I can be picky. We get to do what we want with this. These are our choices. This is why we, do this. We're one-man gangs because we want to be self-directed. And so I would do things that way. There's money to be made in almost anything. And especially if you care about it enough, you can figure out a way to do it. So I would really spend a little time really thinking about what you're interested in. Look at what you spend time on the internet. What magazines you read, things that you watch on TV, and turn that into something you make money with as well. So, all right, Cliff, when you're using an EMD with your money site, how important is it to keep all your keywords out of your page titles these days? I don't know that you need to keep all your keywords out of it, especially if you've got like a 2 or 3 term keyword cliff. You know, if it was, you know, spinal decompression Phoenix, that's one of the example sites that I, you know, put out there to our people, to our group. The title tags on a lot of those inner pages will have spinal, will have decompression. None of them have all of the keywords. So you vary it up. You know, you look at the combination of not only your EMD, but the actual inner page, the URL that you're working on. And you just want to make sure that you leave, that you're not so grossly specific on every page that your URL, that your title tags, and any links you might build don't happen to have all the same, you know, same keyword, same term there. So I vary. All of my URLs will have a different title and will start out with links that have a 3rd iteration of kind of that concept as the anchor text for at least the first, you know, couple links. So especially with EMDs, you can get yourself into, you know, what we call over-optimization pretty easily. But it's also, they're still very usable. I've got tons of EMDs out there that rank well, that convert, that have not been hit with penalties. It's just because I'm not grossly aggressive on making them specific with the URL, with the title, and the anchor text. So I'd say it's important. I typically will design a site before I start building it at all. I'll go through, and I like paper notebooks, and I'll sit there and I'll say, here, you know, here's my first level of inner pages, and this is what the URLs are going to be. This is what the title tags are going to be, and these are going to be what the first 2 to 5 links on each of those pages is going to be for anchor text. So kind of lets you start to see patterns and let you, you know, scale up, because you can go back and say, oh yeah, that site, you know, worked great. Let me kind of follow that model for this new site I want to build, or for this new silo I want to build on the same site, or whatever it might be. So, all right. Antwell, do you believe you should make the money first and then choose to do what you want later? Money to me is freedom to do what you want. Sorry for waxing philosophical. No, not at all, dude. I'm very much under the belief that there is not a separation between your professional life and your personal life. You just have your life. And to separate your money from your passion, from your soul, from your heart, from things you care about, from the things you think are important, I think is one of the reasons that the world is pretty off kilter at the moment. And so if you're asking me for advice or what I think should happen, I think people should choose to do things professionally that they believe in, that they love, that they care about. It also happens to be a great way to make a lot of money. Not only me personally, but a lot of the people that we have in the group here are examples of that. You know, Joe Marfolio, we've talked about here tonight. You know, he lives with his family. They moved to Costa Rica. Niches and the things he works with, the things he cares about, things he loves, and he does really well, and he has a great life. And you know, Joe is he's a great guy. I really like him, but being able to turn yourself into somewhat of a model of what you think the world should become is something I think that is very important in everyone's life. And I wasn't necessarily always that way. I'm not trying to say you have to start out that way and go that way immediately, but it's something that becomes more and more important the more we think about it. And I think it's important. And I think it's something that that liberates you, that opens up a ton of doors and avenues that you don't have, that you don't get if you're just doing something to make money. So that's kind of that's my waxing philosophical back at you. So hopefully that wasn't too deep for anybody here. But it is something I think is very important, as probably most of you might be able to tell with the way I post in the group and the way I talk on these office hours. That this is this is very real. This is very transparent to me. This is what I think is important in the world, and it's kind of the contribution I want to make. So I don't gloss that over. I certainly don't push it aside saying, the dollars and cents is more important. I think they can go hand in hand. And when they do go hand in hand, it's much easier to do well with both things. The happiness, the peace, the contentment, as well as the bottom line and making money with it. So, all righty. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up on that note. It's a great kind of question. Oh, we got something from Cliff here. Should be placing a link to an authority site in every page or silo of my affiliate money sites. You don't have to necessarily on every page, Cliff, or in every piece of content, but most I do. It's one of those things that breaks up the footprint. It's also something that's usability. It just makes sense. We look at things that rank incredibly well. Wikipedia is one of them. Wikipedia not only links to with their own site, but any off-site resources really well. It's a very usable site. Because of that, it ranks very well. People tend to stay on their site and use their pages very, their bounce rate's very low. They have, several pages visited when they get there. If somebody lands on your page and your site doesn't happen to be exactly what they want, you're going to get more credit from Google if somebody sees a link on your page and clicks that, as opposed to just hitting back and going back to the search results. So one of the reasons I put good quality authority links in my pages is to take advantage of that and just to really serve the people that visit my site. If I'm for you, great. I'm going to do everything I can to make some money and help you out. If I'm not, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go where you might be able to find an answer to what you need. So that's kind of the way I look at it. It also works very well with SEO. So yeah, I tend to put outbound authority links on most of the pieces of content that I publish. So, okie dokie. All right, guys, thanks again for being on tonight. Great series of questions and kind of discourse on a bunch of things. So definitely got a lot out of it personally. Like I said, I love to do this. That's why I'm here. So yeah, if anybody's got, I always kind of wrap these up with, if anybody's got any questions that are a little more personal in nature, meaning that you've got, a site or a specific question about a niche or something like that, and you need to ask that you're not, super comfortable sharing publicly or even in these kind of coaching sessions, you can fire an email over to me. Not a problem at all. I'll try to take a look at it and give you some perspective or thoughts that I have on the matter. So yeah, I tend to extend that offer to people who show up to these coaching sessions, these office hours, spend the time, and maybe just like, wow, good grief, I wish I could ask this question. If you spent the time here and you still got some things that need answered, feel free to shoot me an email and ask away there. So on that note, I'll go ahead and wrap it up, stop the broadcast tonight. But again, thank you all for being here. Hopefully you were all in a great place and got some things to work on this week moving forward. And yeah, I'll catch up with you all in the Facebook group or on email until we catch each other next time. Take care, guys. Talk to you soon.